Hello friends, and welcome to the Hanged Man in the Moon. If this is your first time here, welcome. Thank you for coming. I'm pleased to meet you. If you've been here before, thank you for returning. I'm truly honored. Friends, if you are a returning visitor, you may have noticed, or you may know from the thumbnail I put on this video, that this is my response video to the first video I record of the week. And if you've been following along with this channel, you know that my first video of the week these days is a Lenormand spread. I've begun my Lenormand deep dive, and I'm almost done with the first month. Well, this is the end of the first month. And so, this video is in response to that video. If you have already seen that video, keep watching. We'll get right onto the spread. If you have not watched that video, I highly recommend you go watch that video first, because this spread is in response to that spread. I do that spread first, and then I ask, what is the central message of this week's Lenormand spread? I ask that question. So, this question's answer is based on the information from the first spread. So, to really understand this one, it helps if you have seen that one. So I'll put a card up here so that you can click on it, hop on over, take a look at that one first, and then come back to this one. And remember, you don't have to watch any of these videos in one sitting. You can watch them in bits and pieces. It's perfectly allowed, okay? Okay, now, just in case you did see the whole video already, and it's been a while, you want a refresher, remember I titled that video with the compass of the heart. And that spread seemed to be pointing us towards a journey, leading us with the help of, and I called it the compass of the heart, in the direction of doing the things that we love to do. It's also an emotional journey and an intuitive journey, and a journey that is asking us to make choices, but comfortable choices. Choices that will give us some maturity. And we went into all of those details in the larger video, right? We also had some cards around which pointed towards where we might be, though we do have a lot of power and a lot of blessings around us, that we might have a little bit of trouble with our emotional lives getting out of control, or are wanting to control them too much, and that leading us towards our focusing too much on things that are disappointing in the past, things where we felt like we were failures, whether we were failures or not. There's no failure. There is no failure. Let's just put that on the table right now. There is no failure. Because we never get anything done. Right? This is an eternal journey that we are on. As beings having these human experiences that we have, this is an eternal journey, so there's no failure. They're learning. They are learning. Those things that we call failure are learning times, right? So, that's the way I view the world, and hopefully that's the way you view the world too. So that was what that spread was about. But it's very complex. It had a lot of moving parts. So let's see what this week's clearer message, more, what is it called? Reduced, condensed message, like condensed milk, condensed message. What is that message this time? So what am I going to do? I'm going to show you the whole spread. We'll talk about the decks very briefly. And then we'll break the spread into its two major components, and we'll read those sections together. Okay? So, friends, first, here's the entire spread right now. Friends, you noticed that these decks are neither Tarot de Marseille, Thoth, or Continental Tarot, right? I promised what I would do is I'd switch between Tarot de Marseille adjacent, and antique Italian decks with other systems. So this week we're into a Rider-Waite Smith based deck. Could you see that it was a Smith-Waite based deck? It's actually both of these decks, both the Tarot and the Oracle, are by a wonderful creator called Claire Mack. And I have the first edition of her Illuminated Earth Oracle, which I love. And because I love that deck so much, I wanted to get, she made a Tarot. And I missed my chance to get that Tarot because it was a limited pre-sale, a limited sale period. I missed that. I thought it would be available forever, and it wasn't. And so when the Kickstarter for her second Oracle deck was up, I got that one and the Tarot. So these two decks are fairly new to my library, but they're from a creator that I love. She does collage work, and I generally don't like collage decks, but I like her work. And so the Tarot deck that you saw above is called, and I've got to look at my notes because I don't have it, it's still new to my library, right? It's the Rain Shadow Tarot. It's a Rain Shadow Tarot, very interesting deck. Frankly, a little difficult for me to read in a way, but it'll just take time for me to get used to the images on this deck, okay? And then below, we had the new Oracle to my library, which is called the Enchanted Garden Oracle. So we had the Rainforest Tarot and the Enchanted Garden Oracle. Honestly, well, it's new to my collection, so I need to work with it more. I don't like it as much as I like the Illuminated Earth Oracle, to tell you the truth, but like I said, I've only started working with it, so maybe taking some time will get me used to it. I love actually, the way that these two decks speak to each other in this spread that we had just laid out. It's really, really interesting. So the three cards from the Tarot deck, we'll read those together, and then we'll read the three cards from the Oracle deck, but I think I'm going to read these cards from the Oracle deck again with the Tarot card above. Kind of like I did last week with the Poesis Oracle and the Pipspeak. The Squid Cake Marseille Tarot last week. I'm going to read these two together, very similar to the way I did it last time. Okay? So, friends, first we're going to look at the three cards from the Tarot deck. Here they are once more, up close and personal. Take a really good look at these images. So, like I said, this deck is created in a style that is a little difficult for me to read at the beginning. So the titles at the bottom of the cards are super helpful. We start off with the Seven of Pentacles. And sorry, a little bit of a brain glitch here. The Seven of Pentacles. Can you see the seven discs above here? And you see the people down here looking up at the discs up there? So we don't get the idea of actually it's not people, it's one person, I'm sorry. There's a little blob next to the person's face, which just for a moment I thought was a second person, but it's not. It's just a blob next to the person's face, and they're looking up at the discs above. So we get the idea of looking a little bit, but it's not as strong as some decks where there are things growing on trees, and there's a person, like in Pamela Coleman Smith's art. There are seven discs on a tree, and there's the guy leaning on his hoe, looking at the discs growing, right? So we get this idea of the gaze towards these things, but it's a little bit different. So for me, the Seven of Pentacles is what? It's a long-term view, watching things as they happen as well. Things that we expect to have sustainable results. And there's a perseverance here, right? We're not at the end of the journey, we're in the process of a journey. Maybe a journey of growing things to harvest, right? It could be investments, but I don't see that as being important here so much as perhaps preparation for a harvest. Now, waiting for things to ripen so that we can harvest the results, to get the profit, to get the good stuff that we've been waiting for. Now, Claire Mack, in her guidebook, points to things like contemplating achievements through planning, which makes sense, right? She thinks that this card points us in the direction of being close to yielding the results that we want with our guidance and our wisdom. So we need to keep track of what's going on and what we're doing. So we use our own guidance, we use our own wisdom to be able to complete the harvest of those things that we want, to the results that we want to have yielded. And to have faith in our dreams and see them through. And I think those are really important ideas to remember, considering the larger spread we did with the Lenormand, right? Seeing our dreams through. Yeah? Now, this card is saying that we're close to yielding our results. I'm not sure that the timing matches with the larger spread that we read this week, but that idea of long-term view, that if we persevere, if we keep going, if we use our wisdom and our own guidance, remember that star card, our own guidance, and we have faith, we'll be able to move in the direction of getting those things that we want, the results, the harvest, the yield that we're hoping for. And then the next card does remind me, though the image is very different. Now this looks like a Madonna figure down here in the bottom, but we see the 9 swords coming down from above. So instead of the Smith-Waite deck where we've got the person sitting up in bed with a comforter over their legs and their hands and their face, and the 9 swords above on the black wall, or in the black knight. Here we've got the Madonna, but this Madonna is a little bit protected, right? Looks like she's in under a roof or in some kind of a lean-to or some protection, a tent or something. So there's a little bit of protection here for the figure, even though the swords seem to be falling from the sky. One seems to be falling in front of her, but not necessarily in her, like going down on her head. It's in front of her, right? And you see these wings above, which are very interesting, giving us that idea of the element of air. So the 9 of Swords for me is anxiety, worries, and fear, nightmares even. Insomnia is possible. Now, feeling haunted or troubled. All of those negative thoughts which make it hard to sleep, which make us worry. And remember, we had some of that. Those emotions out of control and the emotions, focusing our attention on the negative emotions, making us feel unhappy from the larger spread. So we got that here as well. We also have the idea of regrets, according to Claire Mack. The fear of the unknown. So she suggests that we find a point of light to focus on, right? To focus on and unburden our minds. So this is her solution for the problems of this card, to unburden our minds, that things are not as bad as they seem. Unburden the mind. That was indicated this week in the larger spread, right? Also, perhaps the regrets and fear of the unknown. Now, the fear of the unknown was not in the spread, but regrets were in the spread with the Five of Cups. So, we've got that here as well. So we got this idea that we're here. We're waiting. We're on this journey with a long-term view towards our harvest, towards getting the results we want, towards the yield, that we want to use our good judgment, our inner guidance, our wisdom star. And yet, because we're not there yet perhaps, because we haven't gotten the results, because they seem so far off, right now we might be experiencing anxiety, we might be feeling regrets, we might be afraid of the unknown. And so we're asked to, by Claire Mack especially, to unburden ourselves, right? To find a point of light, the star card, find a point of light and follow that. Things aren't as bad as they seem. And so then we move into this wonderful, now you notice, this female figure, which looks like a Madonna to me, is there all protected, hiding inside of this tent or cave or under her roof. Then we have the next card being this Queen of Wands out in her glory. Yeah? You see that? She's got this huge sun, which is also a sea creature. No, it's a seed pod behind her. We've got this iris, reminding me a little bit of a lily from the Lenormand spread, in front of her. We got a bird flying above, reminding us that, yeah, there's this bird above here is part of that negativity, those fears, but here the bird has transformed into a mind which is flying free. But the Queen of Wands for me is a card of courage, of confidence, of independence, independent courage. Yeah, doing it on our own, figuring it out how to create on our own, and not worrying about what other people are going to say about what we want to do and what we are doing. We're self-assured. We're determined. On the negative side, we could be a social butterfly. We could be flighty. Some people associate this card with the sign of Aries, so it's the sign that goes out and makes a great beginning, but is distracted by other things that they want to do, and so there's no long-term stability to a lot of the things that an Aries gets out and tries to do, right? But I don't think we have to worry about that here. Okay, so I said it, so let's try not to let those things get in our way. We want to be clear about our path and follow that path with courage, with confidence, independently. Don't worry about other people. Don't worry about what other people say or what they think or how they think we should create or what they think about what we are creating. We want to be self-assured. Now, according to Claire Mack in this card, the Queen of Wands is the queen that is warm-hearted and nurturing, but for me, that would be the Queen of Pentacles, just saying. But yes, according to Claire Mack, this queen is fully actualized and in touch with his, her, their shadow. Remember, we are all queens. It doesn't matter what our body is. We could be in a male body, a female body, a trans body, a cis body, an intersex body. It doesn't matter. We're all kings, we're all queens, we're all knights, and we're all pages. Right? So our inner queen is fully actualized and in touch with our shadow. That shadow, which can sometimes spring up and scare us a little bit. See the Nine of Swords, right? But we're in touch with that. We don't want to suppress those fears or anxieties or try to repress them, because they will only grow if we do that. We want to be in touch with them, to acknowledge them, recognize them, and then shift our attention, right? And bring the light of wisdom, the wisdom that we have to the situation that we are in, to that creativity. Remember the creativity we had with the Magician. So this 3-card spread at the top really does seem to give us a great precipitate message from the larger spread, right? We're on the journey of moving in the direction of harvest, of getting results, of getting the stuff we want to get. And we want to have faith in our dreams and have faith in the journey, and yet there are times we are now at a potential of having anxiety and worries because we're not there yet, right? We're maybe afraid of the unknown. We might be regretting things that have happened in the past. And so we want to find our point of light, which will guide us and unburden ourselves of the negativity that we are experiencing and move into the direction of our power to create, our independent power to create. Fully actualized, moving in the direction of our full self-actualization, right? And bringing the wisdom, the light of the wisdom that we have here into the presence. Because we do have that wisdom. We have the lily available to us, the wisdom, the virtue. That is going to be of help, great help for us right now. Now, friends, we've got 3 very interestingly placed oracle cards to read below these 3 tarot cards. Let me show you those oracle cards up close. Take a look at what you see. What do you see? Friends, you just saw from left to right, mineral realm, entropy, and watershed. And it's really, really interesting. The first thing that struck me when these cards came out of the deck, and just so you know, talking deck, yeah, the tarot cards are tarot size. Let me put this against a US Games tarot deck, yeah. There might be a hair's, no, there's not even a hair's difference. These cards are the same size, yeah. US Games, this tarot card. The oracle cards are bigger than the tarot cards. So, if you have small hands, I mean, they're not huge, but they are bigger. The height is the same height, but the width is just a little bit wider in the oracle deck than the tarot deck, which is interesting. I mean, if you're going to go with this shape, you might almost just go with a tarot size, or since you're printing them together, the tarot cards might be just a little bit wider to match the oracle deck. Anyways, so we had these cards, the mineral realm. Did you notice that the mineral realm was right underneath the 7 of Pentacles? Earth, minerals, earth, right? Very interesting. So it's because of this that it really struck me that these 3 cards really do match up with the cards above them surprisingly well. Shockingly well, even. So for Claire Mack, what does the mineral realm mean? Well, let me show you the card. It is difficult for me to see what is going on here. I'm just saying. I see a lot of orbs and kind of what looks like maybe some algae growing up. I don't know. But this is the mineral realm. And what is it? This is something that's solid, it's orderly, and in its pure form. Maybe think of the platonic solids, if that's meaningful to you. Yeah? It provides structure on a strong foundation, perhaps a structure for other things to grow. And it's also the material to build upon. Yeah? It's the structure, but also the material to build upon. So we've got the idea of building things up within a structured, orderly environment. And there's an abundance of choices and versatility here. Remember the choices card from the Lenormand spread, right? The paths, the crossroads. So What does this tell us? It tells us that in this long-term view, as we're preparing for the harvest, as we're moving in the direction of yielding results and having faith in our dreams, we're doing this based on a really, we want to do this based on a very solid, orderly, structured foundation, and then build on what we've already created. Right? And realize that there's an abundance of choices of ways that this development can go, and we have the ability to choose. Just like a farmer or any other kind of cultivator, when they're growing things, will pay attention to the way things are growing, a vintner for example, and will go in as the fruit are growing and ripening and eliminate some of the foliage and eliminate some of the fruit even, so that the fruit that remains has more nutrients to grow better, more flavorfully, right? That sometimes we're called to prune and trim as things are growing, as things are maturing. So we have that. We have that reiterated for us, or we are reminded of that in these two cards together. Yeah? We want to have a structure here. We want to have something to build upon, and we also notice that there are choices, and some of those choices will be to prune some stuff away so that the stuff we want to keep can grow fuller, more bountiful, more deliciously. Right? And then the next card we had was entropy. Whoa! Oh gosh. See, holding too many cards at once is not a good thing for me. Card went flying. I'll be right back. I need to buy myself a small table to put right in front of me, don't I? Okay, so I got the card back. Only one of the cards went flying, but it was an important card. It was one of the cards for this section. So this is the card for entropy. What do we see? Yeah, we see... Oh, sorry, that was watershed. Okay, so here we go. Entropy. What do we see? We see a skull and we see a snake winding its way through the mouth of the skull, which is interesting. If I were to just look at this image, I wouldn't think entropy. I would think of, what? I would think of maybe transformation, maybe death. But I might also think a little bit Lenormand-esque of the tempter, the trickster snake, the one who tries to make us either speak things that are not helpful, or that we receive things that are unhelpful from other people. Those are things that I would think just from this image. But it's called entropy. And for Claire Mack, this is the breaking down of order, degeneration, and collapse. We got that right after the material realm card, right? It might indicate a state of chaos, disturbances at the end of a cycle. At the end of a cycle, I don't think we're at the end of a cycle, but it could be disturbances in the cycle. Yeah? And that card was right beneath what? It was right beneath the Nine of Swords, the card of anxiety and fear and regrets and a burdened mind. So what does that say? So we want to get the foundation to build on for things to grow with the Seven of Pentacles, but right now our minds are not our friends. Right? Our anxieties and worries are breaking down the order that we're trying to maintain. Have the potential to cause collapse. Or at least chaos. Because remember, we're on the journey of creation, and the journey of creation can sometimes feel chaotic because we're not there yet, right? So maybe it's that chaos. Or there's disturbance because, again, we've got to make choices. And that can be disturbing. Am I going to make the right choice? Am I going to make the wrong choice? Is there such a thing as a wrong choice? Things to consider. Or things to realize that those questions right now may be the problem. Those worried questions, those anxious questions may be the problem. How are we asking the questions? Those are things to be thinking of for ourselves right now, so that we can unburden ourselves of the negative questions of, oh my God, what if I make the right choice? What's going to happen? What is the right? I don't know what the right choice is. How can I tell? Those worried questions. Instead, we could ask more positive feeling questions. What feels right? What is my North Star? What is drawing me? What feels comfortable? What feels secure? And if we can traverse this terrain of the Nine of Swords with entropy beneath it, we move directly into what Claire Mack calls watershed. Right? And here we've got a very complex image of like a flower, we've got a snake, we've got another snake here, right? We have that snake in the chaos card, but here, instead of, oh gosh, cards flying everywhere, and I lost my queen, and okay, I'll be back. You see, the problem with these two decks together, I said that they were basically the same height, the Oracle deck and the Tarot deck. They are not the same height. Yeah, the Tarot deck is just small enough that when I hold all of the cards together, the Tarot cards want to go slipping off into the void. Yeah, into the void. Let's just say the void. So here we are with the Watershed card and the Queen of Wands card. Right, the Watershed card with this snake, which is below looks like a snake, and above the snake kind of looks like the night sky in snake form. And it forms kind of an Ouroboros, right? Do you see that above? And then there's a rose in the center of that Ouroboros. You know, the snake eating its own tail? And it's up on a pedestal, which kind of makes it look a little bit like a mirror. I don't know, there's a lot going on here. According to Claire Mack, the Watershed card is the card of the collection of resources and flow of resources. Maybe networking. Gathering energy from multiple sources toward a common goal. And it's symbolic, according to her, of financial gain. So we're moving in the direction of positive results. We're moving in the direction of creation. We want to gather those resources together. And that's below this Queen of Wands card, which is again creativity and independence and our self-assuredness, right? And she wants to gather these resources together. And even though we're independent, doesn't mean that we can't network with other people, right? We can work with the other people independently. Independent yet co-creatively. Does that make sense? And the resources we get are not from one person or one place, but we gather them from many sources in our environment to help us do the work of creation. And our ability to bring our creation to light will give us some good positive gains, and those positive gains could be financial. So, you see how these cards all flow together in one story? Now we've got that seven of the waiting for the harvest. We want to do the harvest on a structured, organized foundation, right? And build on that foundation. But now we've got worries and we're focusing on negativity, which is giving us the potential of feeling chaos and feeling like things are breaking down. But what we want to do is to find our guiding light, and in finding our guiding light, become the Queen of Wands, courageous, confident, independent, and able to gather the resources to continue and complete, well, there's no real completion, but continue and manifest what we are trying to create. As a fully actualized person, aware of the shadow, but bringing our wisdom to light, creatively, following our heart, following our North Star. And that's basically the message from that larger Lenormand spread, isn't it? Isn't it fun how those two spreads work well together and speak to each other? I think it's amazing. I think it's wonderful. If you feel it's amazing and wonderful, let me know in the comments below. If you would read these cards differently, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. And friends, if you want a reading from me, my email address is in the description box below. thehangedmaninthemoon@gmail.com. Shoot me an email, we'll get you a reading. And I'd like to say thank you. Thank you to all of you who have hit the thumbs up button and who have subscribed. You are a blessing to me and to many other people. YouTube sees those things and reacts by putting the channel out into the space of other people who would benefit from finding the channel. So you help other people as well. And friends, now, as always, I wish you love, joy, well-being, and pure awareness. Thank you.